Welcome to another episode of Out from the Horrorbox. I'm your Spooktober host, Dom, and I know this is a little late coming, and I've had a couple episodes out at the end of September, and nothing really in the beginning of October. I know I'm a little behind. It's just, we'll get into it with some of the updates in this episode, because that's going to be kind of what it is, just some updates, maybe go over a little bit of, like, Halloween stuff, and then probably just get into some scary stories. There's not going to be too much to this one, and it's going to be released a little bit later in the week than I normally do, but I have like 2 reviews ready to record. So at this time I haven't recorded them yet, but I'm going to get them both done ASAP. So you'll probably get 2 for the next week, and then I'm going to even start on the next ones on top of that, and then work on the big Halloween special that we'll do. But just until then, and let's just get into this episode of Oops All Scaries, with some updates. So the big update that I have is that, the reason why everything's coming out a little bit like late and like it's kind of staggering, it's kind of multiple things. It's a combination of like my work has been a little bit more. I don't want to say stressful, but just I've had to adjust to some things. We lost a lot of people just recently, and also they've been changing up our hours, so it's been going up and down for a little bit. So I haven't been able to fully, get things done. I only get 2 days off also. So I use those to record or get anything I need to get done. And also I'm working on doing videos as well. So it's just me by myself. And so sometimes I think the videos are going to be a little bit quicker to put out sometimes. And then I realize, oh yeah, there's a lot more work that goes into it. So there's that. Also, it's the spooky season, October, getting into Halloween, my favorite time of the year. And, I want to watch certain things. I want to get things going for other things. There's a lot of things that I want to do. And so it just gets really hard to try and do a lot all in like the span of a month. Because when you think about it, like a month sounds like a long time, but it really isn't in the grand scheme of everything. It goes by really quick. I can't believe it's already October 13th when I'm recording this. And so, like, there's that too. Like, time just goes by a lot quicker than I'm thinking it is. Plus, I have, like, some planned vacations coming up in November, and I'm trying to gear up for that. So, guys, just trying to get all that together. So, hopefully, I can get a lot done soon, and then kind of just put it out as we go. Especially if I get ahead, it's like the best. I'll say this. I'm going to kind of break tradition with this channel, because normally I wait till the next year to do the newest VHS. I'm going to do VHS Halloween this year. I think it's important to do it now before Halloween this year. Just because to do it when we normally do these film, or like we look at these reviews for VHS in like January, February, the beginning of the year, I think it'll just be too late for VHS Halloween. I'm going to be doing it this month, and then we're also going to finally get a new horror for kids. I've been trying to get one out. The last one I think was Courage the Cowardly Dog. So if you haven't heard that, go back and check it out. I love doing horror for kids. It's probably one of the best things to work on, especially because it's like I get to rewatch like the show that I'm going to be doing, or the mini series that I'm going to be doing. Also, as I said, I was working on videos. I've been trying to get our YouTube channel going more and more. There's currently 3 videos. I'm gonna have a couple of shorter videos. I'm been trying to do more stuff on TikTok. If you've been checking out my TikTok and if you've been following us on Instagram, and I also have a new Twitter. If you want, I'm gonna put it in the show notes and everything. It's mine, my personal one. I don't want to make another one for the podcast. It's a whole thing. I just want to kind of move on, and especially if TikTok goes away or becomes unusable for us, I'll just change the Twitter over to more about the podcast and more I don't really use it more personally. I just did it just to set it up. But other than that, yeah. But check out the YouTube channel at Horrorbox Podcast or Out from the Horrorbox Podcast, and we got I got an introduction video on there with some of our personal horror stories scary stories from my family. We got a tribute video to David Lynch, and I got a video on cosmic horror. I'm gonna be doing one on analog horror. I'm gonna be doing some shorter ones that are gonna tie directly with like the VHS. There's some that are gonna be tying to just more of like Halloween stuff. I'm trying to get more stuff on Instagram too, just to get more stuff out there. I'm trying to be better at social media, guys. So just bear with me. But any of those places you can find, the links to like the YouTube. You can find the links to all the different socials, different things. So hopefully we'll get more people on board on there. I mean, I just wish more people would just kind of check me out, just see what this is about, and I can expand more. And also, if you are on TikTok and you do want to support the channel and the podcast, and I think you need 200 people following to do lives. I'm so close, guys, to it. I just need I think 30 more people to follow me. So if you're not following on there, please go on there and follow. I'd love to do lives so that we can talk about your guys' personal encounters with the paranormal, with the supernatural, things that you just unexplainable. If you got other tales from other past events that from your family members, if a guy who was a janitor who worked late nights at an insane asylum or something, you want to talk about that. If it's just something, it's anything. I'd love for you guys to come on and just talk about anything spooky, anything scary. I mean, we can even talk about we'll talk about movies, we can talk about games. That's one thing I also want to start getting into. Hopefully we can start talking about some other things than just movies, and I'm trying to get that going. I've been talking about books, the Dark Tower. I know I started that series. I'm gonna try and get that one going too. It's just like I said, there's just a lot going on. I'm trying to do. Once I think we'll have kind of a reset next year. January I usually kind of take a break. We'll have a longer break in January, and I'll probably get everything reset then and going. So hopefully everything will get on track, ready to go, and hopefully even then too I can maybe get some better days off than I have now. It's just the holidays are coming up, guys, and if you work a regular job like I do, it's really hard to take time to do things at any point during these next 2-3 months, and I happen to work in a place where I don't even get holidays off. I have to work the holidays, so for me it's even worse. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to get everything back on track again. This kind of happens every year where I kind of get derailed at some point, but hopefully next year we'll get everything on back on track, and then not only that, but we'll be able to stay consistent, and we'll get to expand more than we've been doing before. And yeah, hopefully we get more people here and everyone, more people listening, more people talking about it, and then maybe we can expand beyond that. All right, guys. So I found this article about 1 star reviews from Letterbox of like horror films, of like your favorite horror films, quote unquote. And I get, not everyone has the same opinion about horror films. Some people like certain ones better than other ones. Some people don't like any of the ones done by specific directors. And there's also like, like some movies that are held in very high regard that, people just don't like because they want to be like, I only like the shitty, like low budget movies that, that don't have good stories and has terrible acting because that's a true horror movie. That's what horror should be. And when some other people are like, no, horror film should be very elevated and should have a pristine look and no gore at all, no gore. But we're gonna just take a look at some of these. I'm gonna read them and then tell you what movie it's for because they're kind of interesting and they're kind of funny. So let's just start off with the first one. Actual boring movie. Never fell asleep watching a horror movie, but fell asleep during this one. I actually fell asleep from boredom. It's apparently a classic or whatever, but I think that what taught other films how to it's what taught other films how to send someone comatose or something like that. IDK. But there are actually loads of moments that were referenced in The Substance, for example, and loads of other films. That was kind of cool. And I'm not going to read the last sentence because it will spoil it. But actually, let me just read it, and you'll know what it is. That was kind of cool, like the twins and the bike and the carpet and the blood lift and the stair. And here's Johnny, also Shelley Duvall. A so obviously this is The Shining. I love The Shining. I think it's probably one of the best horror films of all time. I think it's not a great adaptation, obviously, because the book completely different from the movie. The book is a very slow burn, very like it cranks it up very slowly. You go through all these different things till you finally get to the big moment in the end. This one obviously kind of you're getting Jack Nicholson, so you know what you're getting from the beginning. You're getting someone who's gonna fly off the handle. You already know that. So, but Kubrick kind of understood that if you took that novel and you made it into a movie, it would be kind of boring because it's very slow to get to what we need to get to. So I think he did his best at adapting, and they are two different things. That's why I don't like to call it an adaptation because it's Kubrick's own work. Like I feel like it's a great film. I don't know why you would call. I mean, it is a little bit slow at the beginning, but it's good. I don't know why you would call this movie boring. All right, ready for the next one? The most overhyped movie ever. It was so boring. There was maybe 15, 20 minutes of actual horror, but the rest was just talking. It was so boring and hard to watch. The movie is way too long. It takes way too long to get to the horror. It should not be a classic horror movie. It is insanely boring. I would not recommend this ever. Ending was just whatever. It has the slowest build up possible and even not even worth the hype. The movie looked good for the year that it was filmed, but for it to be one of the most recommended horror movies, I was so disappointed. We'll probably never watch ever again. And then this is another person's review. I don't know what you all see in this movie. Maybe it wasn't. I wasn't in the mood, but I could not get myself to care at all. This wasn't the least bit frightening to me. It was just gross. Sexualizing a little girl to show that she's possessed will never not be revolting to me and always feels like cheap shock value. Obviously, this is the Exorcist, and that's a little ridiculous to call it sexualizing her when she's like literally taking the cross and masturbating with it. Plus, like, this was nominated for Best Picture. It's probably one of the only horror films to be nominated. And, like, it's so good. Like, it is a classic. I don't know where you're. Like, it needed that kind of slow build. Like, what do you. People these days are just ruined by, these kind of, like, TikTok and YouTube, and they're just kind of, like, come on, get to the action, get to the action. It's like, but sometimes it needs a slow build, slow burn to build up to something like this, and then like when it starts getting into it, like, and then to talk about the ending and stuff, it's ridiculous. The Exorcist is such a classic, and it's inspired so much more beyond that, and has such an influence on pop culture, like ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous. All right, so here's the next one. I don't even have a joke. This is just a bad movie. I'm sure the next 6 movies in the series are better though. And this is probably the part that's gonna give it away. 1 star solely for Heather Langenkamp and young Johnny. Heather carried the movie for sure. Some of the practical effects were okay for the time, but overall boring and not scary. And corny. Sorry. Guys, did we watch the same movie? These ratings are the real spook. For real. I'm not getting camp. I'm just getting bad. Unfortunately, the acting, the effects, the plot, the ending, the way it drags at an hour and a half through its weird ass use of time, the lack of scary. I genuinely never felt so gaslit by a movie's hype. The practical effects were acceptable, but that's all I really have to say. How could you do this to Wes, to his memory, and tarnish it? You this is a master of horror at his peak, making a Nightmare on Elm Street, which is it's in its own right a classic. Honestly, if you were to be like, who's on the Mount Rushmore of horror, Freddy's up there. Like, and to say that it's boring is ridiculous. There's parts of it that are just like so creepy. It's from the start, just from start to finish. They're just so creepy. Like, it opens with like this creepy scene in the dream, and like I don't know. I don't know how you even say it's slow, and how you give the redeeming to just the actors when you're, and then the effects. Yeah, the effects are great, but I still think it's a pretty good story. Uh, I don't know. Maybe you want more jump scares, more of Freddy. I mean, you get all that stuff later in the series, but this is like a home run of a first film. Like, if I've ever seen one, it's ridiculous to say that this movie is bad, and that the reviews are the ones that are getting it wrong. And it's like, yeah, it is a little it's not as campy as it gets. It's crazy that you're even saying that this one's camp. Um, and then to just blow off Robert Englund's portrayal of Freddy, that's ridiculous. Right then and there, that's ridiculous because he made that character. Like, he no one. I mean, only one other person has played Freddy, and I think Jackie Earle Haley. I think he's a good Freddy in a bad movie. But I still think, I mean, there's really no one else that can do it. That can come close to doing Freddy than Robert Englund, and the fact that you're just sitting here and being like, it's boring, ridiculous, ridiculous. Okay, guys, for this next one, I'm gonna kind of read around parts of it because it just gives it away too fast. Um, but let's get into it. I'm gonna read the second one first. This was very boring. That's literally all he said. And then, cool movie about characters walking from place to place, talking about random shit for 50 minutes while a guy stands a distance menacingly and breathes loudly. Like, yeah, sure, maybe if I had watched this back then, I would have thought it was brilliant. But if I saw someone smacking two stones together in 5000 BC, I'd probably think that was brilliant too. The fact that all the movies that ripped this one off also genuinely suck doesn't help the Seinfeld is unfunny syndrome case either. Literally, the only time I can think of that these tropes have ever worked is in Scream, because that's a parody movie. And then I'm gonna read the ending to the previous paragraph because it's wild. All build up to the riveting conclusion where Michael Myers keeps repeatedly reassembling himself off the floor like a dry bones from Mario. This is wow. This is whack, and this is just like you. What? The fact that you're like that. This went on to inspire so much, and so many more films. Yes, you're right. It does. That it's kind of crazy that these studios were like, let's just keep making basically the same movie over and over again for a decade. But that's on the studios. You can't really blame this movie for that. And then to be like, "Woo, this is the only time the tropes ever worked was in Scream." Well, one, you can't call them tropes if this is the first time that they're ever being shown to you. Like a lot of the stuff that happens in this is the reason why we call them tropes in the first place, because every other film copied it after that. And then two, Scream's not a parody. Scream is a satire, not a parody. It is its own thing. It is satirizing the horror genre as a whole, and it's not just Halloween, although you can tell from Halloween being this kind of template for the later slasher films that's kind of why you the film and everyone else is drawn to comparing it to this one film. It's ridiculous to say that this is just like Seinfeld is unfunny syndrome, which it's like Seinfeld didn't invent this kind of like comedy of like situational comedies were around before. I'm not saying that Halloween invented the slasher genre, but it helped to popularize it so much that like I'm saying, you can't just say like, well, the trope of the final girl and then like the trope of this and that and this, like, yeah, but no other film prior to really did this. Even if there was a slasher film, they weren't like this. The later they were, because they just copied it. Ridiculous to hate on any of these movies so far. This next one is just so out of pocket. Oh my god. I'm not gonna start off with the first one because it's like it's kind of get if you know you're gonna give it, it's gonna give it away. So let's start with the second one. A classic, I suppose, though it was done better in Black Christmas or even Tower of Evil. And then let's get into the second one. Strip Monopoly. Kids knew how to have fun back then. But seriously, is this a parody of Psycho? These people, they're gonna be the death of me. Let's just start off with the second one. Uh yeah, Black Christmas of course is the precursor to everything, even Halloween. Halloween, you could say, kind of copied that in a way. It's a whole thing, but like, and then to even call this a parody of Psycho, what? Like, obviously, like they're borrowing things from the previous slash. Like, this was just trying to pull things from all the slashers that has come before, and basically the only slashers, quote unquote slashers that you could call them, were like, yeah, like Psycho, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw. So how else are you gonna do it? How else are you gonna build off of that? God damn it! And then this, in its own right, kind of like helped to popularize slasher films. I don't know, to compare it to Black Christmas is one thing, because I think Black Christmas is a way better movie than Friday the 13th. But I mean, Friday the 13th is still a great film unto itself. It's still a good like, ooh, mysterious person killing people type of thing. But I think Black Christmas did a lot better. But to give it 1 star and say, oh, Black Christmas did it better, just kind of is like, it's kind of stupid. I don't know. To me, it's like you're. It's like if you compare this to Halloween, like they're different kinds of movies. Like they're both slasher films, but they're different kinds of slasher. I don't know. I would say that Halloween and Black Christmas are better, but I would say that like later on we got better Friday the 13th films. We got, I mean, Halloween still is one of the best ones of its series, but there are also other Halloween movies that stand out and can stand on their own. Okay, so this one I actually kind of agree with. Um, this comment right here. The potential is there, but it feels like a Tubi parody with a huge budget most of the time. And but I'm gonna save the second or that the other review for. Let me just say, I wholeheartedly agree. This movie, it's so strange because the first one, I think, if we're going back to the prequel, quote unquote prequel, I really don't like it. I think it's kind of dumb. The first one, quote unquote, the first one in the film or series, I think is very low budget. I mean, it's very gory, but I don't know. To me, it was kind of boring. It wasn't the greatest. It was fine. I think people put it on a pedestal way more than they should. I think they're just looking for like a new icon slasher person to put up there. And I don't think this guy's it. I think the second one, honestly, is the best one because it not only expands on like the characters from the first one and then also expands on the lore behind everything. Not too much, but it gives us enough that we're like, oh, and you start getting invested and starts getting you like ready for the next one because it's like, okay, so is the next one really going to get into like what's going on, why this is going on, why specifically this? Like this is awesome. And then we get the movie that they're talking about and it's like that's what you decided to do with the third one? Why? Why would you do this? Why would you give me something dumb like this? I'm not saying that it's dumb. It's better than, honestly, I think it's better than the first one. It's definitely not better than the second one. I think it's very like why would you decide let me just read this next one. I like this one better than Terrifier 2 and less than Terrifier 1. Right then and there, I already know. You're a fucking idiot. I did like some of the modern nuance they gave to it, with Mia in particular being a pushy, self-entitled podcaster. But I just felt the amount of gore in this one was truly unnecessary and just lost any impact it might have had. Which, if you're on Terrifier 3, you should know that there's gonna be a lot of gore. Like that's what they kind of market towards is that there's gonna be a lot of gore. Kind of fucking stupid. Anyways, I right then and there that first sentence that you liked the third one better than the second one is stupid. The third one did nothing. It just was like, all right, he's dressed as Santa Claus. He's killing people, and that's it. That is literally the movie. I don't know if you're just so simple that you're like that's all my mind can process. Whereas the second one was giving us more than just it was giving us like a true like hey like here's this like is he demonic what's with these what's with the little girl what's with the like the dad having the visions and stuff and like I know this one kind of sets up kind of expands a little bit more but not enough and I feel like it's setting it like all it was to set up also the fourth one. I don't know. I'm just like Terrifier is a little overrated. That whole series. and I'm getting tired of people like pushing it like so hard as like a film it's like, oh, it's the greatest. It's like one of the greatest. It's like with Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like, no, nope, I would not put it up there at all. All right, guys. So this is the last one, and I think it's the craziest one of all. I can't understand why this movie ever got so popular. The plot is lazy and low key disgusting, not even scary. I get the iconic mask, but everything else is okay. The plot twist wasn't even a plot twist if you looked close enough. But I get it. It was a Hollywood movie destined for success, just like any other mainstream movie nowadays that succeeded because it pleases the general public. That doesn't make it a good movie, in my opinion. And the next quote, meh, it's a good enough horror movie, especially for the time. Obviously a classic, but nothing amazing or not done before. This one actually makes my head hurt. This one, it's like, okay, one, you can't believe why this movie got so popular. It was made at a time when slasher movie and the horror genre itself was fading. And I'm just going to tell you right now, it's Scream. The plot is lazy and low key disgusting. I don't know what that means. I don't understand how it's lazy and or disgusting. The iconic mask, everything else is okay. I don't know what that means, but it's okay. I don't know how the plot just. I don't know how it's how the fact that no one saw this coming is crazier. That you're like, if you looked close enough, you saw the plot twist. That's like somebody I know that they think that they solve movies right from like the beginning, and they're like, oh, I already knew that was going to happen. I already knew from the first scene in the movie. I already knew everything. I knew how the whole movie was going to go. It's like, no, you didn't. Yeah, I already knew all that. I knew it was going to happen like this. You knew that this was going to happen in the movie. Yeah, because you just pay attention in the beginning. Like movies don't always tell you everything at the beginning. And then the fact that it's a Hollywood movie destined for success. Okay, yeah, maybe Wes Craven had been around for a bit, but at this point, I mean, he really hadn't had too much of a hit. Even with New Nightmare that had come out prior to this, wasn't, I don't think, received that well. And I think this is his biggest one since A Nightmare on Elm Street. Or, yeah, maybe. Because I don't even think like People Under the Stairs did that well. Um, and it pleases the general public. God. And then like a good enough horror movie for the time, especially but nothing amazing or not done before. The reason why everything has been done before and why they're talking about it in this film, I guess, just went straight over your head. Like you just don't get it. It was meant to be a satire, and you guys, and obviously you're just like looking at it from a 2020. I don't even know when this was written. Probably 20. So like a 30-year removed lens, let's just say, about, and you're trying to put a lens from today on that. I don't know. It's just so dumb, so stupid that like you're sitting like these. Just thinking about this. These people sat and watched these movies, and their conclusion after watching all these were like, yeah, it wasn't like anything like I watch nowadays, so that means it sucks. And even with the newer ones, like with Terrifier 3, it's like I just also hate when like people just shit on films and they don't think about like, the time and effort. I'm not saying all movies deserve this because some of them are bad. Some of them are genuinely like, this is bad. I don't know why no one on set said, hey, maybe we shouldn't maybe we shouldn't do this. This is just really bad. Let's put this money towards something else. But the fact that they got it together, they got these people together, and they made something. Hey, that kind of gives it something, right? But they just like to just completely crap all over people, and especially if it's like when it's like you're perceived like boring. It's like I don't know what do you mean? Is it boring because it's slow? It's boring because it's giving you information. Like it's boring because it's if they didn't give you that information, then you'd be mad because oh well they didn't tell us that in the film. They didn't tell us that earlier, and it's like okay, but you complained when they did, and you said that slowed down the film. Well, yeah, if you're gonna give us all this stuff, it's gonna slow. It's gonna be slow. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both like a faster pace. I mean, I mean, I guess you could, but I feel like it would be really weird. I don't know. Because sometimes it doesn't always work that way. Where like it just doesn't work for the film. Like it's more naturalistic if the movie moves in a slower direction towards this or that. Really sounds like some people need to get a life. Get a life. Get a life. But yeah, let's just move on to some scary stuff and wrap it all up. So this is from. I'm just gonna go off of Reddit. I'm gonna read a couple stories, some spooky stories for you guys. I think I'll give you like just a few. We're not gonna do too many. But this one's called "Do Not Whistle at Night." Last night around 3:30 in the morning, I got this strange urge to whistle 3 to 4 times in a row, loud and clear. The street outside was dead quiet. Right after the last whistle, I saw something move. It wasn't a person or an animal. It ran too fast, way faster than anything human. The way it moved felt wrong, like it didn't follow the laws of how things should move. What really froze me was how dark it was. The figure was so black that even the night looked bright around it. Then it was gone, just like that. I stood there in shock for a while before I came back inside and locked everything. It didn't even feel like fear at first, just disbelief. I know what I saw, and it wasn't normal. And yeah, I've heard that before. I think especially in what is it the like in like the Appalachians or like in certain like just like mountainous regions. I know like you're not supposed to whistle. You're not supposed to if like you hear someone calling, you're not supposed to answer. I think if they call your name too, or like they'll you'll hear things and like you just like you're just supposed to run away from it. You're just supposed to. There's a video on TikTok that I saw. This guy he's just like out in the woods and he's talking about how like sometimes sometimes you're just out here and you hear things. Sometimes it just goes dead silent and then that's when like you can hear there's just sound and I know you might be able to manipulate everything because it's just the sound, but like the sound you can hear the sound of the woods like like the crickets and the bugs and the birds and everything and the wind and the rustling of the leaves, but it just goes dead quiet and he's like looking around. He's like, all right, time to leave, and he just gets up and he leaves. And yeah, it's like what's out there that like these people, not just these people, but like people prior to like the natives also are like, hey, yeah, you should just not go out there at night if you can help it. What is it like? What is it? Some force? Is it something beyond us? Ugh, I don't know. It creeps me out. This one's called Not the Most Exciting Story, but Curious if anyone has encountered similar. I used to live in a house by myself and was downstairs with all the lights off except for one in the kitchen slash back door area, totally away from what I'm about to describe. The stairs to the second level lead up to one hallway, which is actually just kind of a 6 by 6 area where the 4 bedrooms open to. One or more of the bedroom doors were open at the time. I was standing on the first floor with one friend by the stairs. All the lights were off because I was about to leave the house. I saw a quick flash of blue white light from the second floor area described in the first paragraph. Similar maybe to like if someone took a photo with a flash on. Here are the things that make it weird. The friend definitely saw it too. The house was situated where no car headlights from nearby roads ever possibly hit that angle. There was not evidence of electrical damage, light bulbs going out, none were on, etc. No one else was home. There were no TVs or cameras upstairs. There were no streetlights outside. There were no exterior house lights. And see, like these, like little things like this, where it's just like something like that, where it's like, well, how do you explain that? Is it ball lightning? Like I've seen, I finally saw videos of that, which is it does look pretty crazy when you see it, and like very like, oh, that could be the explanation for a lot of different things. But the fact that it was just one quick one off of some light that just flashed, and I think my friend, he said that when he was at his house with his girlfriend one night, he went to go get something from like the kitchen or something, like maybe like something to drink or something. She was in his room, and she said that she felt like something was pressing her down, like onto the bed, and then she saw like, yeah, like something like that, like kind of like a light or something emanate from like the outlet, like just this kind of like bluish white light just like emanate from there, and then all of a sudden like it stopped, and like she felt like she could get up again, and he came back, and she was just like freaked out. And it's like, see, like what happens with that? Like, why is that weird? So creepy that like little things like this, every day, like something like this could happen where it's like, but what's causing it? What is it? What are these things? Is it something supernatural? Is it something paranormal? What is it? We're just gonna end off with this last one. The mimic outside my window. I've been a lurker here for a long time, but I never imagined I'd be posting until what happened last night. About 2 weeks ago, we moved back into the house I grew up in. I already knew the property was likely haunted. My mom and I experienced activity here my entire childhood when my parents set up a double wide on the property years ago. The activity followed, and she dealt with it almost daily. The first week after we moved in, the front door opened by itself in broad daylight. There was no draft, and the latch was secure. The second week, the kitchen floor creaked once in a very specific spot, the spot that only makes noise when it's stepped on. And then last night, the mimic appeared. I told my daughter to get dressed so I could take the kids over to my parents' house. When I looked out the window, I saw a long-haired woman about my mom's build wearing a baggy t-shirt walking towards our front door. But when it realized I saw it, it darted to the right and out of sight. Just as I said, "Oh, Nana came home to get you." I opened the door and called out, "Mumsy, I know you're out here. Where'd you go?" She answered from her porch, in the opposite direction of where I'd just seen her. My stomach dropped. I asked if she'd been outside my window a moment ago, and she said, "No, I haven't moved from my porch." That's when it hit me. Whatever I saw wasn't her. This isn't the first time this trickster has shown itself either. When my mom first moved into the new house with my dad and my brother, she once walked into my brother's room and saw him at his computer. She told him whatever she needed to say and went back to the living room, only for him to walk through the door a few minutes later. Over the years, she's heard my dad call for her from other rooms, only to realize she was home alone. Even my brother's wife has experienced it. They stayed in this house for a week once, and she said she heard him calling for her several times. It shook her so badly that when they came back last year, she refused to stay overnight. I told my husband I can handle noises in the house. I can even handle seeing shadows or random apparitions. But seeing my mom, one of my best friends, outside my window when it wasn't her, that's where I draw the line. Why would it take her shape and dart away when I saw it if it didn't actually want to be seen? I've experienced a lot of paranormal things, but none of them scared me quite like this one. And yeah, right? Like she said, yeah, like creaking sounds. I mean, you could just chalk that up to the house settling. Houses do that. Um, Even the door opening, right? In broad daylight. Okay, she says there's no draft and it was latched or whatever, but you know, sometimes latches fail. Sometimes a wind will push it open and then just die down. Maybe I don't know. Sometimes the doors aren't always secure and they'll just fall open. And okay, maybe if it wasn't her mom, but she said it looked just like her. And then once she said, like she called out for it, that's where it like darted towards the other way because it realized that it saw her. That's fucking creepy, dude. Like, and then for like, yeah, like I would not want to stay there if I saw like, oh, like I saw my mom, and then like when I looked at her, like it, like she like ran the other way, like, oh, that's kind of weird. And you go outside, and she's like in a completely different area than where she should be if she's like running away. And it's like, what? And then the fact that, yeah, like that like this thing isn't like new to that place where like they're constantly hearing it like call their names, and like it literally terrorized the sister-in-law to the point where she's like, I am not staying in that house again. Like flat out, I'm not staying there ever again overnight. That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's some scary. There's some scary shit right there. Like that's where I'm like, nah, man. I would never go back in there. I'd be like, you guys can stay here. I the same thing. Like I'd be like, I might go in during the day, but as soon as like it starts getting dark out, I'm like even before that, like as soon as it starts getting later in the day, I'm like, I want to be gone. I don't want to be here when there's creepy things all around and they can come out and they can start talking to me or whatever. That's creepy. Man, I like what is it? Like she says it's a mimic, but like why? What is the like she says, yeah, like what's the point of like looking like her mom? And then like that it looked like the brother too at one point. Like what's the point of doing all that? Like it's just creepy for creepy's sake, I guess, right? So, what's your 1-star review of a popular and good horror film? What's your experience with the paranormal? Maybe have you seen your own mimic? Are you ready for the spooky season? Ooh, Halloween's around the corner. I know I'm ready. I'm getting all ooky spooky. Ooh. I want to thank you all for listening, and if you like what you hear, please subscribe to get every new episode downloaded. Do you have any personal or fictional paranormal, supernatural, or unexplainable stories? We'd love to read them on the podcast. Please send your stories, recommendations, or anything else to horrorboxpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to show more support, you can follow our socials on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, or check out our YouTube channel, all at Horrorbox Podcast on all sites. Also, you can buy me a coffee at coffee.com/horrorboxpodcast. It really helps out. Until next time, keep your reviews to yourself. This is Dom, signing off from the Horror Box.